Well, let's get the show on the road here. Welcome everyone to our community update. And we've got a lot of very interesting developments to share with you. A lot has happened since the year began. As I was preparing my remarks for this, I was just thinking about how we started this year coming off of 2019, which was an incredibly successful year. We celebrated our silver anniversary. We had great financial results. We had the first smart movie ever, the Authentics. I hope you've had a chance to see that movie. And then we were starting to create a strategic plan with the help of experts from SAMHSA. They assigned us a team of people who are experts in fundraising, restructuring, fast-growing organizations, really high-level people that wanted to help SMART grow, because SAMHSA has taken a special interest in our organization, seeing the contributions that we're making to the recovery field. So January, February, we were going great, just feeling, man, this is going to be a fantastic year. Well, you all know what happened after that. We realized that COVID was going to have a huge effect on us. I think for everyone, it turned our worlds upside down. It kind of put us into a twilight zone, I guess is the way I'm kind of thinking of it. And it really had a very serious effect on the people that we serve. And that's the really difficult part. When you're put into a state of isolation, not access to your family, there's a lot of boredom involved. You're anxious about what's going on, what the future is going to bring. Maybe you're having job problems. All of these are all triggers, as we know, for people who are trying to recover. And then at the same time, we had to shut down or suspend most of SMART's meetings. And this was obviously something we didn't want to do, but I remember I was looking at my Outlook calendar, and on the date of Saturday, March 14th, there was the first meeting of what we ended up calling our corona, I guess you call it our coronavirus task force, where we began a process involving a team of some 20 people, staff, board members, regional coordinators, IT experts, and our website people who knew about Zoom, to begin a process where we had to migrate a huge number of meetings online as quickly as we could, because people really needed our help. And the only way we could deliver that help to them was through our face-to-face meetings. Now, we already had meetings on our national website, and I'll talk a little bit about that. What we really needed to do was take those meetings that were meeting face-to-face and get as many of those as we could online as quickly as possible. And that was a tremendous logistical challenge involving a lot of people. The national office had to, all their staff had to leave. The national office had to close, so they had to start working from home. We had to start coordinating this whole process from home. And our whole staff was really diverted into dealing with this. We had to buy Zoom licenses in lots of 100 to help facilitators get the Zoom get access to the Zoom platforms they needed. We had to create special training programs for our facilitators to teach them how to run meetings online because of the special experience you need with running the technology. It was an incredible process. But what was even most incredible is how quickly we did it. I think within 3 months, 90 days, we had 600 meetings online. In North America, we were doing this in Canada as well as the U.S. I think it was more than 500 in the U.S., another 100 in Canada. And eventually this became an international effort. Australia was very successful in getting a lot of meetings online there, and they got a large grant from their government to help them, several $100,000 Australian dollars to do that. UK was doing it. And then Smart Recovery International helped countries around the world put smart meetings up and online in Brazil, Hong Kong, Iceland, Indonesia, Malaysia, Russia, South Africa, and Spain. We had meetings going in Spanish, Portuguese, French, Icelandic, Russian. So this became a tremendous global undertaking that actually brought SMART to places where we didn't even have SMART meetings in the past. So actually Brazil, that was our first SMART meeting in Brazil, believe it or not. And it was in Portuguese, I think, as a matter of fact. We also had our regular SMART meetings that we've been running for more than 2 decades. So I guess one thing I think I need to emphasize that it was useful that SMART had a lot of background in running SMART meetings. We've been doing SMART meetings online through our regular website for more than 2 decades, almost since the World Wide Web was introduced. We've been online since the late 1990s. So I think the fact we had a lot of experience with this helped us do it very quickly. And we ended up expanding the number of meetings there significantly. We went from about 35 meetings there to 57. We added meetings on mindfulness and meditation. We added meetings for teens online, Spanish-speaking meetings online, military veterans. Oh, I guess we already had those, but a lot of facilitators who had been doing only one online meeting on our website started doing 2. And so they put in a lot of effort. And I would also like to note that people at the local level were doing very innovative things with their online meetings, because, I mean, one example I ran into was Chuck Crumroy, who was doing a meeting at the Massachusetts General Hospital. Of course, he couldn't do it in the hospital anymore, but he had his participants all connected through a Google group. So they were communicating with each other between meetings. So Chuck had instances where participants were dealing with urges and at risk of relapsing, and so he would call meetings, pop-up meetings, he called them, just on the spot to help individuals deal with challenges that arose between meetings. So this online capability, gave us the ability to do meetings on a as-needed basis, as well as on the regular weekly schedule. And I think that's something that capability that we might want to look at in the future. Now, of course, I know many of you are starting to, not many, well, some are starting to go back to face-to-face meetings. We're not sure how quickly we're going to be able to do that. Obviously, the COVID problem is still very serious in the US and other parts of the world. We have some face-to-face meetings going back. They're kind of trickling back onto face-to-face status. We also have a large number, perhaps, 10 to 20 now, that are using a hybrid format where some meetings some people are joining the meeting in person while they have a laptop or some other means to have other people join online. So it's a combination of online and face-to-face. And we may see these hybrid meetings part of our future going forward. And I'll tell you, I'm going to talk about our strategic plan in a second. But even before we were thinking about SMART's future, we were thinking, a big part of our future is probably going to be a lot more online meetings, because a lot of people don't have the transportation. A lot of younger people prefer to have online meetings. Other people lack driver's licenses. Obviously, that's very common. So online meetings are very useful for a lot of reasons. So we were thinking that online meetings was going to be a big part of our future. And well, that future arrived very quickly in a big way. So that really accelerated our migration to online meetings in a big way. And I think that's a positive thing, giving us experience on how to do this, as I hope at some point we'll get to the level where the pandemic is not as much of a factor and we can return to whatever the new normal is. And I guess that still remains to be seen. But while we were doing all this online work, scrambling around trying to support the online meetings, we were undertaking this a very major strategic planning process with the help of SAMHSA. And we had a group of 40 people as you see, staff and board members, volunteers. We did extensive research with the help of SAMHSA. We did interviews with about 160, 170 volunteers. We did what's called SOAR analyses, looking at your strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results. It's kind of like SWOT analyses for those who are familiar with strategic planning, but this was a new version of that. We had in-person interviews with about 15 different individuals who had special knowledge and interest in SMART. So we did a lot of homework trying to put this thing together. And just as we were still doing all this online stuff, we started putting this strategic plan together, where we're still in the process of doing that, but we have boiled it down to 4 major initiatives, and I'd like to give you just a brief overview of that. We'll be sharing a detailed plan toward the end of the year, so you can see what it looks like. But I just want to give you a preview of the general areas that we're looking at. Obviously, and this is not a surprise, a very important area we need to focus on is volunteer support, meeting growth. I mean, we've been challenged all along by the increasing demand for our meetings, and we need volunteers to run those meetings, and that means our training program needs to be more effective in producing volunteers. So we have to somehow get our training program producing more facilitators and figuring out a way to do that more effectively, because I think we've always been challenged finding enough facilitators to run our meetings, and dealing with facilitators who are burning out, who you can't have one. You really need more than one person assigned to each meeting, because you can't expect a person to run a meeting 52 weeks a year. So we're trying to encourage team facilitating. We're trying to figure out ways to provide more backup for facilitators, more support for facilitators. Compassion fatigue is an area that we're looking at, and there are ways to help people deal with that. So these are some of the areas where we're looking to support the volunteers. We're also looking at ways we can do ongoing training, continuous training opportunities in addition to the initial training. And you may be aware of some regions, like in the Middle Atlantic area, we have an annual regional training conference, a tools conference. That's one way we can do it. We can be doing more webinars as a way to do continuous training. We're looking at a mentor program to help new facilitators figure out how to hone their skills and running meetings effectively. So that's a big part of our plan in the area of volunteer support and growth. Mark's going to be sharing a little more detail on what we're doing about that from an operational standpoint. Now, another big area that we're looking at is diversity. I think it's obvious to everyone that addiction does not discriminate. Addiction touches everyone, and SMART needs to be in a position where we can help any and all people who are suffering from addiction. Our research at SMART that we just did, and the plain observation that we've all been seeing over the years, is that SMART needs to become a much more diverse organization in order to serve a more diverse population. We need to be serving a lot more people of color, more women, more youth. I mean, the youth is our future. We got to be helping them, and they're being adversely affected seriously by the opioid epidemic, we know. So they need a lot of help, and we need to figure out ways to help them. And just in the U.S. alone, as those of you who look at demographic trends, we're on the way to reaching a point where the so-called minorities are going to comprise the majority of our population. That's already happening in some states. I believe it's happening in California, among other places. So we've got to be able to help people of color, women, also people with all sexual orientations, socioeconomic classes, rural people, inner city people. In short, everyone who could benefit from our self-empowering help and the incredible compassionate community that we have developed here at Smart Recovery. And I think, we need to be able to bring that help to everyone who needs it and could benefit from it. And of course, I can say that we've already started to focus on diversity. I think it begins at the top with our leadership. I'm happy to report that we made a significant start there by recently expanding the Smart Recovery Board. Just in the last 2 months, believe it or not, we've added 7 new board members. I don't know that we've added a lot of members for a long time, but we just added 7 new members. All have incredible backgrounds, a diversity of skills, and obviously they're adding a lot of diversity in other ways. We got skills in the area of financial development, training and education, marketing, government relations, youth support, change management, all the things that SMART needs to grow and to implement the strategic plan that we're developing. So it's, diversity is a big part of it, but it's a lot broader than that. Now, I believe we have a video now where a couple of our new board members are going to share some things that that they want to say, they have said about SMART as testimonials. So I'll let them, hear from them. Roll the video if we got this one figured out.
My name is Dave.
The old technical glitches that always happen in this new world. Take 2. There we go. Deshaun Duncan.
Deshaun. I'm currently a Smart Recovery facilitator. I started doing Smart Recovery 4 years ago. I've been a facilitator now for 3.5 years. I currently work with youth and teens running a team Smart Recovery meeting. I didn't see a lot of facilitators that looked like me, and I didn't see a lot of meetings in my neighborhood. Most of the meetings I had to go to were 35, 45 minutes away, and I said to myself, out of all the treatment facilities I've been to, I'm going to go into every treatment facility I can and let somebody know about this program, because I had never heard about it. And I made it my mission. I became a facilitator. I started Smart Recovery Commitments, and I went in and I motivated and inspired people in my community to want to take the training, to want to learn more about a program that actually helped and made a difference in my life. I always said I always knew how to be a leader, but I didn't know how to be a leader in a positive way. People always were attracted to me. They liked being around me. They were motivated to be around me, but it was never positive. After taking that facilitator's training, I've been able to be a positive leader and a positive role model. And I said my meetings are so successful because I'm my most authentic self. I share a part of me every time I do a meeting. And sharing that part of me allows everyone else around me to be vulnerable. And I think that's the biggest thing I've gotten, Being able to be vulnerable, being able to be your most authentic self is the way that meetings thrive, is what makes people want to come back. They build a connection and a bond with the facilitator. And I let people know that being a facilitator is one of the most rewarding things you could ever do. It's something that pays off when you see people doing successful things, people coming to you and saying, I want to start a meeting. I already have the space. I just need material. And it's rewarding. You're like, wow, you went out, you got this space, you contacted the hospital, you contacted this, and you put this together, and that's a great feeling.
Well, my name is Dan Hostetler. I'm the Executive Director of Above and Beyond Family Recovery Center. We are a free behavioral outpatient addiction treatment center in the west side of Chicago, which is not a great neighborhood. We opened the doors up in 2016 in the midst of an abstinence-based recovery program in Chicago. Everything is united in abstinence. Smart Recovery will help you recognize your strengths and be able to pull them out and use them in a fashion that gives you more choice instead of, it awakens in you an internal locus of control. So it gives you empowerment. It puts you more in charge, which is the truth anyway. That's how things are. It's based on choice. So it allows you to be able to recognize the powerfulness of your own intention, your own choice, and then the actions that follow, and how to couple those things up. It puts it in such an easy to access form that it's very difficult for anyone not to find some way to make it useful.
Okay, looks like, are we done with that? Oh, okay, all right. Now, a third important part of our strategic plan, I guess
Hey,
we could
sweetie.
call it telling our story. And we just saw two good examples of that from two of our new board members. I'm referring, of course, to marketing and communications. Through my involvement with Smart Recovery International, I've been working on projecting or doing a better job of communicating the Smart brand more effectively to a global audience for the last 3 years. We've got a great team of people from all over the world working on that, and we're working on that in the US as well. We have just come out with a new refreshed version of the Smart logo. This was working on this for about a year. I think we haven't really made a major change to our logo for quite a long time, maybe since the beginning of Smart, some 25 years ago. And here you can see the new logo and several renderings of it, how it looks against a black background, how it looks against a white background. You see we replaced the square in the middle with a circle to represent how Smart helps people become centered as they try to achieve life balance. You have points coming out, which shows how people are trying to use our tools to broaden their connection to the world around them. The colors that we chose really represent optimism and stability. So there's a very distinctive choice there. And I think also importantly, this is going to be the Smart logo. This is our global logo. It's not going to be associated with any particular country or other geographical location. There's not going to be a lot of variations on this. This is going to be our brand logo globally, and we're going to want everyone everywhere to be using this logo. There are a few different ways you can use it, but we're going to want it standardized as much as possible so that we get recognition, and people are going to start seeing that logo and seeing something that's very powerful and something that tells them this is an organization that can really make a difference in helping people not just get over addiction, but build a life for themselves beyond addiction and deal with challenging behavioral problems and be the best people they can possibly be. And that's the brand story that we want people to understand as they become familiar with Smart, and as we develop our marketing messages going forward. Now the final piece of our plan, which is really simple, it's dollars. Smart will always be a volunteer-driven organization. I mean, that's written into our bylaws, through our leadership, through our facilitators. However, like organizations like the Red Cross, like Amnesty International, we need staff and we need resources to support our volunteers. And as we grow a lot larger, we need a lot more funding to support our staff and volunteers, so that we can do the logistical stuff that costs money, like Zoom licenses and meeting facilities and marketing and that kind of thing, so the volunteers can focus on delivering our services and providing the help that our organization gives to the people who need it. I can tell you that our experience moving some 600 meetings online in the U.S. Cost us well into 6 figures in staff time and licenses. At the same time, as the economy started to suffer, we also saw decreases in publication sales. Our training revenues were affected. Donations went down. So we've been dealing with some financial challenges as a result of this. As a result, we're looking at the fourth quarter of this year, looking to raise $100,000 to $150,000 to make up for our losses, and so we're launching a campaign just for the end of this year that you'll be hearing more about. And we've got a new fund development committee that's going to be working on many other ways to provide more funding streams for Smart and to support our program financially so that we can bring our program to everyone who needs it, which is really what it's all about. Now I'm going to turn the rest of this program over to our executive director, Mark Ruth. I just want to say a few things about Mark. He's helped us already a great deal with our fundraising. In fact, in Ohio itself, he was very helpful in raising a very large amount of money through grants from the Cleveland Foundation, the Cincinnati Foundation, money we needed to sustain our organization. Also, the Paycheck Protection Plan, we got support from that to keep our staff so we didn't have to lay off staff people, and he was instrumental in that. Mark was also very helpful with our silver anniversary celebration last year, and working closely with Mark over the last 2 years, I've come to respect his commitment to SMART, his smart heart, as he likes to say. And it's hard to believe he's just completing his second year here, completing everything that's been accomplished during that short period of time. So with that, Mark, it's all yours now.
And thank you so much, Bill, for the very kind words and for all of the things that you have shared with those that were able to join us today. We both started our leadership roles in late 2018, and based on the odd times that we seem to have caught up, I know how much you work tirelessly on advancing our mission impact. Your commitment, dedication, and passion for SMART continues to inspire me and our community. SMART is alive and thriving because of our innovative and aggressive response to this pandemic, and we will remain diligent in addressing what lies ahead. As you expressed, we are very fortunate to have thousands of volunteers who have large, smart hearts, as I call it, and are the heart and soul of our organization. They deliver the very highest level of passion, commitment, effort, and dedication. This includes our past and present volunteer board members, our regional and local coordinators, meeting facilitators, hosts, moderators, and so many other volunteers serving in many different roles. I also want to recognize the efforts of our national office staff in Mentor, Ohio. Our team relocated operations to their homes, addressed new COVID work challenges, and maintained their standard duties while supporting their family members focused on returning home also. I am proud to be working with each of them and with all of our volunteers. They are each extraordinary individuals. COVID has forced us to deal with serious loss of life and is having a severe impact on our economy and quality of life. COVID has also made it more difficult for individuals who need recovery support. This includes organizations like Smart Recovery, AA, LifeRing, Women in Recovery, treatment professionals, and many others. I am proud that Smart Recovery has been one of the recognized leaders in providing worldwide online recovery support to those in need. Now I'll transition. I wanted to make sure I read that because I really felt that was heartfelt in what I was trying to say to not only Bill, but to all of those board members and volunteers that have paved the way into our staff. So apologize if I read that. On the board that you see now, as Bill had mentioned, we have invested a lot in the organization, and I can't thank the board enough for that investment. We have emphasized staffing, technology, financial stability, support for volunteers and meetings, support for participants. I'm going to go into these in a little bit more detail, but I think this range is what I'm going to try to focus on with you. On the support of our staffing, and due to the funding that we were able to raise, and again, I want to thank the Finance Committee and the board for their continued diligence in our ability to evaluate and respond to the ebbs and flows of COVID in our own funding sources. But we have been able to focus on our call center support, and I can't tell you how much substantial volume we receive for call-ins and emails, questions, questions about our platforms that we offer, how people can access the training. There's just a wide variety, and we have a wonderful call center team that does their very best to remain up to date with that. We also support volunteers in our face-to-face and online meetings, and that support has been enhanced and strengthened by commitments of 2 of our national office staff members who now help support the volunteer community and will be moving 100% of their time to that effort. Where there's still a transition stage, but that's a very solid investment to support our volunteers. As Bill mentioned, we've extended our fundraising support, and that specifically allows us to extend our events, our grant writing efforts, and also importantly, to be able to manage our database and our donor tracking capabilities. As we continue to grow with the number of transactions of donations, the number of individuals that are giving at various levels, and we really appreciate every gift, small or large, in whatever way, and we certainly appreciate those that give us of their time and talent. That's as much as important to us as anything. We have also expanded our marketing and communications team, and that is focused at increasing our brand awareness, our focus on enhancing the extent of our training and our volunteer and meeting growth. The marketing and communication team has a lot to do with how we not only reach out to individuals that are interested in recovery, but how they come to us when they search on the website. And we've continued to focus on that. We have also emphasized increasing our video design and production assets, and that allows us to not only attract a younger audience, but it also allows us to reach out and develop these tools where people using their mobile apps and their tablets and their laptops can quite literally have access 24/7, whether they're in a meeting or not. And that is really an important strength of our organization, is to make those assets available and continue to focus on serving those that are in need of our help. And then we've also done a great job of increasing our outreach. And as Bill alluded to, we've been very, very fortunate to have received some funding from the state of Ohio, from the Cleveland Clinic, from the Cincinnati Foundation and Interact for Health and other foundations. And we've invested that in Ohio as a full-time outreach person, as a starting point to measure our ability to truly get traction and growth in a particular focused state area. And if you're not familiar, Ohio is unfortunately one of those top states that has an addiction and a crisis of death and all of that. And we really want to make sure that we establish our footprint in Ohio, and that has been a focus. It is our intention, though, to continue to expand that geographically as funds become available and as we learn from the experience that we're doing in Ohio. And then essentially, we've also extended our support of our administrative support. Next, our technology is critical to the organization, and there is not one organization that exists that can't invest in the advancements of their technology. We've been able to extend that investment, the funds that we've been able to receive. We've continued to focus on Microsoft-based products, and they serve as a core for our organization. We've upgraded our website and will continue to do so as funds and time and resources become available. And certainly, as Bill alluded, we've expanded our Zoom licensing to respond to the challenges and quite literally to make our meetings and our platforms more available to individuals in need. And then lastly, if in our ability to do more with less, we've streamlined what has been time-intensive work processes and the support of our volunteers using various techniques and tools. In one example, our meeting verification request, which we provide to individuals that need verification for attendance at meetings, we've been able to significantly reduce the amount of time it took to process those and turn that into what literally is under a 10-minute cycle, which used to be hours and hours and hours just to process that on every day. So again, these are examples of our development of technology as we support the organization's growth. The next thing is, as Bill also mentioned, is the significance as the organization grows in our ability to develop not only new sources of income, but provide sustainability as an organization. And we're doing that in two ways. One is of which to extend or expand our events. And that is our fundraising events. We're getting ready to launch a volunteer-driven Facebook campaign in the next, closing the month of September, which is Recovery Month, Awareness Month. And then we're also going to be rolling out several new initiatives, which I know you'll hear about in the coming months as well. And then lastly, we intend to really put a focused effort on the end of year appeal that will allow us to close out the year in a strong way. The other part of what we're doing, though, is to also focus on our current revenue streams. And this is important, whether it be our bookshop, our training, our donations, anything that we already have that has built up a basis for us is important to us. So we're also focusing in efforts on enhancing those particular areas of revenue. And if you're familiar with fundraising in general, best practices for an organization, you really quite literally have to develop multiple streams of revenue in order to provide a solid foundation for growth. And that would include our ability to write federal grants, state grants, and local grants, and to work with the multiple organizations and states that have that available for us. So again, these are all part of our growth. Well, not last, but significantly, we are, as Bill also alluded, are supporting our volunteers in our meetings. It is important for us to continue the commitment to our volunteers and to our meeting quality, effectiveness, and consistency. What's really critical is we also work on providing support so we minimize, if not eliminate, volunteer burnout and our reduction or loss of meetings because we didn't connect an individual who received our training and help them in getting a meeting launched in whatever way we could possibly do that. And then we certainly want to reduce the burnout and the frustrations that go along with serving in a industry that has some difficulties inherent in it. We want to continue to develop those volunteers so they feel very continue to feel the smart heart and continue to give back. And many of them use these volunteer roles to help with their own recovery. And they have been served by SMART and are giving back to others. And we deeply appreciate all of those that do that for us. I think these are the individual things. We also are developing tools using the technology to make that access of our tools, our communications, and various improvements available to our volunteers online. And that's important in our continuing growth. We know that our first 25 years has brought us to today, but we also know that we have to invest and continue to expand our mission impact, and that's critical to grow our volunteer and our meeting base around that. So that would be that. And then on the level of our participants, we cannot ignore how much we can do in any way we possibly can do to help our participants, those that come to SMART, to achieve independence from their addictions and their problematic behaviors. We have many ways that we do that now through our face-to-face meetings that have been obviously impacted by COVID, and our reaction as an organization and our aggressiveness in expanding to online meetings has been very, very well received and quite literally still not enough. We know we have so much more work to do. And we also have other platforms in our online community. Those platforms include our message board, and that is available 24/7 by 365 to be able to provide a conduit for individuals to seek help, ask questions from our SMART community, our volunteers. We also have, unfortunately, it's going through an upgrade, so it's down presently. We have a chat room, which we're very proud of and are working on restoring, and that will also provide, again, a different conduit for individuals to connect with other peers and our volunteers and others in recovery. So these are all really, really important to us as we continue to establish our base of support for our community and those that come to us. Lastly, we are continuing to invest in the video and in any digital means that we can provide effective training to participants on how to use our tools, and videos that will also provide recovery support for them, again, using their mobile phones. And we will eventually, somewhere along the sequence, develop our own smart mobile app to be able to bring all of that together. So the last I want to leave you with is our branding effort. And it's not enough just to get our name recognition out. Bill does an awesome job of connecting the dots and making sure that that outcome of getting brand awareness is connected to actually being able to say we're growing our mission, and that is providing more meetings and serving more individuals that are in need for recovery. And so again, the brand awareness, though, is important, because if we're not known, then people are not aware of really what is a wonderful and very viable product for recovery. And we should be very proud of what we have developed over the 25 years. We also wanted to make sure we're focused on our branding in very targeted geographic areas. And we're working on how to identify that based upon various indexes and research that we're able to compile, because once we're establishing this growth that we're seeing in Ohio and the techniques that we use, we want to be able to replicate those techniques in other geographic areas of need, again, as part of our sequence. So that is important. Our Marcom team, I can tell you, is been a very strong evidence of our advancement. I can tell you, and I hope to show you that in some other way, the significant number of individuals that come to our website and the growth of that over the several years. And then also those that are using our YouTube products and the growth of that since we've started developing that. It has been really staggering how much our outreach has worked from there. I want to just note, just before we kind of transition and close our time together, I want to give special recognition for those individuals that really have made where we're at today even possible. And 25 years is a really good milestone. We celebrated that in 2019. Who would have thought that we would have been in a pandemic in the following year, but we are. But our founding board of directors, and many who still remain active and supportive of our organizations, are at the core of that. And we have several that are still extremely active. I wouldn't even do justice to try to name them, so I won't. But I want to thank everyone of them for what they've done. Secondly, and I cannot be remiss if I didn't mention Sherry Allwood, who was our previous executive director, who really helped take us from the beginning to the first 25 years. And I personally cannot thank Sherry enough for what she has done to provide that guidance, that mentoring, that stewardship that was necessary to bring us to this level. Now, it's incumbent upon myself, our board of directors, our own national office staff, and with all of your support to carry on for that next 25 years. And it won't be looking the same, because if it did, we wouldn't be growing. And so our entire team needs to be change agents and working hard to make those changes necessary to take that next step. We also just wanted to make sure I emphasize, again, our promise to the smart recovery community to work hard, to continue to be diligent, not only because of COVID, but just in general. We have an awesome board of directors, and it's now growing, which is a necessary step. We have an awesome national office And certainly we have a wonderful community of individuals. We appreciate you very much and your smart heart and all that you have done for us over many years, as well as into the future. We want to wish our best wishes to all of you because we know these are difficult times. We appreciate each of you. We know you have families and friends that have been affected, whether it's through loss of jobs, health degradation, even individuals that have left us because of COVID. And we just want to wish you all the very best in enduring and proceeding with our life as we know it. So thank you again for giving Bill and I and our entire team the opportunity to speak to you. I've seen a lot of chat. I want to make sure we close down with any questions that may be directed to us, and we'd be very happy to talk. Bill, myself, and any of our board would be welcome to address any issues that you might have. So again, thank you all for your time and for giving us the chance to chat with you. Is there any?
I'd like to add one thing about our strategic plan that I mentioned earlier. As we get into the phase of executing that plan, we're going to be inviting members of our community to join us in doing that. We'll be creating committees, task forces, different opportunities for people to contribute to various aspects of that plan. So please be on the lookout for those details and don't hesitate to join our implementation efforts.
So I'd like to ask if Allie, or the team, if there's any other directed questions, be very happy to take them at this point in time. If you would like to ask them, you're welcome to, please. And if I don't hear anything in the next 15 seconds, then I'll assume that nobody has any questions, and we will make sure we wrap up.
I just got a quick one. How are we going to access the recordings?
We will make that available to our on our website and our YouTube channels. We have a YouTube channel as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Also, will the volunteer work that you're looking for be able to be conducted from home, online, for people who are still quarantining?
Absolutely, absolutely, and we appreciate anybody's volunteer time in any capacity, whether it's attending and supporting our meetings, or whether you could provide administrative support to the organization, or any other role that you would like. Certainly, we would welcome you to do it from your home.
Also, I've been away from SMART for a while, but my husband and I are facilitators, and he no longer has access to the building where he was using the meeting space. They're not allowing people to come in any longer.
No.
How would he go about setting up the online meeting then to bring people back for his meeting?
Would you do me a favor and just in the chat, if you can make sure that you pose that question, and one of our staff members will get back to you directly to make sure we help you. But thank you for saying that. You bet.
Okay.
I have a question. I'm going to be, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, starting a meeting, and I've been asked to provide some camera-ready copy for people to do some advertising of the meeting for us and to create flyers. Will there be flyers available with the new logos?
That will be part of our sequence. Today is our very first formal announcement of the refresh, and we will begin to proceed with developing and modifying the various tools, but it's going to take some amount of time from a logistical standpoint to do that with the new logo. If you have any issue or access to the immediate forms that we do have, again, if you could make note of that in the chat, we would make sure that we have somebody that can help remedy that problem for you. But it is part of our progression to develop the use of the logo in many ways that we have to. But it will take a logistical effort and a significant amount of time to see that finished up. Does that help?
Well, she
Yes,
wants it
very much.
available,
Thank you.
hopefully. I think we'll be drawing upon our partners in Australia and the UK who may be doing things along those lines. So we'll get this together for you as quickly as we can.
Yeah, and Bill, you mentioned SRI, that's Smart Recovery International, and again, I may not have done justice to thanking them also for the amount of collaboration that our organization in the States and their organization, which has responsibility for oversight and extension of our number of countries, has had. Because Kim and her board of directors have been extremely supportive, and we've been working very closely together to make sure that we are aligning ourselves as well as we can. So thank you, Kim, and your entire team.
I think our regional coordinator in British Columbia, Stefan Manath, has his hand up.
Cool. Thanks, Alex. I just wanted to make sure that this has been covered. Has the Zoom accounts for the facilitators, have they been covered to be advanced for 2021? So are they still available for facilitators in 2021?
We are presently maintaining all of our Zoom licenses through the balance of this year, but we will be evaluating our future strategy sometime in very soon. I don't want to say when, but it will be on our radar, Stefan, to make sure we examine that for the future.
Cool. Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
We have Sarah Pike with her hand up as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Sarah? Would anybody else like to ask any questions?
Arthur has his hand up.
Arthur, please.
Thank you. Mark, you and I had talked about this. I'm going to be getting onto a Zoom meeting very quickly, very soon at 1 o'clock my time. With an inpatient facility where I've been doing that off their license. But
hello, I got a question.
And what I'd like to know is if we can expand, because I could use my license and get into other facilities for inpatient, but someone
that was rude.
Do that, and I don't understand why I couldn't do that. You and I talked about that, I think, at one time.
Yeah, and Arthur, just due to the logistics of that conversation, if we can recircle on that one, because I really don't want to kind of get too deep into the weeds of this conversation, but that's going to require some conversation about our licensing policy. So that's the concern. So let's take that offline, and we'll circle back with our team on that one.
Zoom has policies too that we have to be mindful of.
Susie Smart Hands has her.
Who's it?
Susie Smart Friends.
Susie, Smart Friends, would you like to ask a question?
Yes, I would. Is it my understanding that starting today, the Zoom account numbers are going to be starting to change and require passwords for verification meetings and waiting rooms for the others?
Susie, your question is very timely in that we are currently assessing the most recent news from Zoom about their security protocols. And it is our hope, and I believe it's our intention, that we will not be needing to make any changes to the way we operate. Well, I want to say that we have not regrouped with the technical team around that, but that is what I think that is what we sense their messaging is telling us.
Great, thank you.
Sarah Pike.
And Sarah, would you like to ask a question?
Hi, sorry, I found it. I'm a new facilitator online on the Zoom, and I just want to know, probably it's common sense, there will be no conference this year, or we do that virtually?
Well, this has been a very difficult year, and there are many organizations that are doing virtual conferences. In lieu of our annual meeting, once we realized, by the way, that the COVID was going to reshape us, we did not make plans for another conference this year. That'll make us so that when we do have a conference, everyone will be rested, excited, and energized to come join us. But in lieu of that, we have continued to stay very active with our strategic planning. And as Bill cited, we have a large number of individuals from our community, from our board, and from our staff that have committed a substantial amount of time to help us design and develop our strategic plan, which we will be sharing maybe towards the fourth quarter of this year. Not maybe, we will be sharing in the fourth quarter of this year with our community.
Thank you.
So thank you. What's it? And I was just given a check just to remind everyone about David Koss, one of our board members, and his regional conference. Bill, would you like to speak a little bit more about that regional conference, or are you aware of the dates of that? It's coming up.
Oh man,
it's
it's a
October
Saturday,
24th.
October
24th.
24th. Thank you. Yeah, if you're in the Mid-Atlantic region,
okay,
attend it. It's a great event, an all-day event. Brings together professionals, facilitators, great speakers. Actually, I'll be speaking for 15 minutes, but that's not necessarily why I need to come. But no, it's a great conference, a great networking opportunity, and there'll be some there'll be some speakers with a lot of professional knowledge that I think you'll want to take a look at, and there'll be promotional information about it. I don't have the details off the top of my head.
The link to that East Coast conference is in the chat room if you're looking now. And it's also accessible on our website.
Yeah.
So apologizing if I didn't make note of that, but David has put, and his committee has put a lot of time. And I think this is the third, if not the fourth year that conference has been run. But it's building up traction as well. Is there anybody else, Ellie?
We have a Dennis.
Ellen?
Dennis has his hand up physically.
Okay, Dennis is raising his hand. And Ellen as well. We'll get you next, Ellen.
Dennis
Or
has
maybe-
to unmute. Dennis, you have to unmute.
By the way, thank you for our volunteers that are helping moderating the chat. We appreciate that very much.
Is that better?
Yes.
I'm from South Africa, and there's no smart presence here. Is there any opportunity for us to expand smart into South Africa?
Dennis, if we want to talk with you and focus on South Africa, we would work with Kim, the executive of our Smart Recovery International group. So I would be very happy to make sure we make a contact with her and discuss that with her. And by the way, I really like that Kentucky Fried Chicken in the background. I'm a KFC guy.
Actually, I think we have had meetings in South Africa at times, and I'm sure that Kim McCrainer, the SRI, Smart Recovery International Executive Director or Officer, can help you with that. So you need to get in touch with her, and she can give you an update on where things stand. They have an online meeting, I know that.
Dennis, you may well be our farthest person that's joined our meeting. South Africa is not around the corner for us. So thank you for joining us.
Dennis, if you'd like to type your email address in the chat, I'll connect you with Kim at Smart Recovery International.
Give it to me. You're not on camera.
Doing it right now.
It won't.
Thank you.
You could speak though. Ellen, if you would like to answer, because you've been waiting patiently for a while, so if you want to, please feel free to do so.
Okay, thanks, Mark. I'm wondering if there's any general guidance from central office about face-to-face meetings in the days of COVID. I do 2 meetings a week. I've moved one outside in the last about 8 weeks. It's been extremely successful. Everybody brings their own chairs. We sit in a big circle. People feel very safe, but obviously weather's changing. It's getting darker. And I have a lot of people who don't want to come to Zoom meetings. They really miss the face-to-face. And I'm wondering if there's, number one, any guidance. I'm certainly going to say we got to follow state guidelines, but I'd like to know if we could share successes that people are having of moving from Zoom to face and where and how they are doing that safely.
Ellen, if I can, I'm going to, first of all, I really want to apologize. Christy, I did not introduce you. Christy is our Assistant Executive Director, and she has been really overseeing this task force that meets with us. I would like to ask either Christy or Bill if you would like to address our approach, because I know there's been a lot of discussion around that.
Well, we have a group that meets weekly to address the kinds of questions that you're asking. And I don't know, Christy, have we come up with any particular guidance on how to deal with her challenge?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Ellen, I was half taking down information to send to Kim. So you are currently meeting outside and you are going to be wanting to transition inside. And so you're wondering how to handle that. Did I get the full question correct?
Right. Unfortunately, both of my meetings that got canceled were in hospitals. And I know it's going to be a very long time before SMART's going to be invited back into hospitals to have meetings. Particularly one of my hospitals was a COVID-only hospital. So I'm not even reapproaching them about using space. And I'm just wondering if there's other things going around across the country where people are finding safe places to meet indoors.
Mm-hmm. So people are meeting some places that are safe. Certainly you can bring this to our smart meeting management and discuss some of the other options that places have found. Online, of course, is an option, but it sounds like you want face-to-face.
That's what I started with, Christy, is that I moved one of my meetings outdoors and I was able to attract people who had stopped coming to my Zoom meetings because so many people spend their whole day on Zoom for business and they just want to do another 90 minutes at night. And so I've gotten people to come back to SMART who had not come for many months when I started running an outside meeting.
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like it's like the challenge of trying to find that place. So, and we are just asking that when you do find a place, you follow whatever the county and state health guidelines are. So we'd be happy to work with you and talk about some suggestions. If anyone wants to type anything in chat, if anyone else has something.
Well, I think it's all situational. I think it varies from location to location with different types of opportunities. I mean, we're trying to share solutions to those kinds of questions with everybody who faces these kinds of challenges. But I don't know that there's any standard way of dealing with it. It really depends on where you are and what's available.
Oh, yeah, there she is.
And the size of the room, because we have to be cognizant of social distancing within that size of the space. So,
not to stop that conversation, I didn't know, Susie, if you had your hand up, if that was related to this topic or not, but Susie, I saw you had your hand up.
No, I had my hand up before this topic and I put my information in the chat. I didn't see that Stephen Neff was still in the room. He's doing a Smart Recovery Day, September 26th, and I put the registration link into the chat.
Okay, thank you, Susie. Well, we are coming up at the 2 o'clock hour, and I want to see if anyone else has any closing questions. But again, on behalf of Bill, myself, our entire national office staff, our board of directors, all of you, thank you so much for coming today. Does anybody, if you have a final question, please raise your hand. And I see Alex, one of our utmost extraordinary regional coordinators, has his hand raised.
And he has to unmute himself.
Hey, guys. Yeah, Alex, I'm a volunteer. I wanted to let everyone know, a lot of great questions came up in the chat, and we're trying to answer them as quickly as possible. But for those of you who are facilitators and trained volunteers, please look out for the, Christy mentioned the Smart Meeting Management meetings, the SMMs we call them. And if you're a facilitator, you should have access to SmartCal. And the links are dropped in SmartCal to come and ask those questions all the time. So Ellen, who asked that question earlier, she's regularly an attendee of our Smart Meeting Management meetings, but they're Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. and Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and 6 p.m. on Friday Eastern Time. So please look out for that. Jump on SmartCal, come in, ask questions. We're here 3 days a week, all the time, to help you with any specific questions that you have if you are already a trained facilitator. If you're not, obviously you can contact National Office or ask online in the message boards as well. That's all.
Thank you, Alex. I think Danny, is there a Danny that has his hand raised up?
Yeah, hi, I'm Danny. I've been having trouble finding a smart therapist in the Nashville, Tennessee area. I did call one that was listed and they never called me back. Are there any suggestions for that?
As a rule, we work really hard to engage with treatment providers and professionals. So I'm not really sure quite literally how our database is set up, but again, if you would like, please put your request in the chat, and one of our staff members maybe can call and directly try to assist you in that.
I think we do have a list on our website, but I don't know how large that list is and whether it includes your state. But there is a list of professionals who do recognize SMART as part of their orientation, let's say.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll check the website too, but I'll put my information on the chat. Thanks.
Thank you, Danny. Any other last questions? I really, again, we can't thank you enough for coming to join us for this update. But as Bill indicated, we will be closing the year out or starting the new year off with an additional follow-up on our community update. So we appreciate your time. So unless there's nothing else, again, thank you on behalf of the entire organization for joining us and for all that you do on our behalf. We couldn't do what we do without all of you doing what you do. So thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to officially end the recording.
All right. Thank you all.